Ma yana wasia no pay se uguso ene yenti ene eye Thursday enti ya wada de ya wonim se de esi ekono ye sha ase entem se ne be ya ebetimi cover all the topics I pese ye discuss ye ne liso wona na kosi poku na mkwa so enche obedrum me bra panyin Ivan Che Innocent ewo ha enti ye be hye ye nkomo na se ne nkomo na edoso ebi wo ha ye be kika asi ani na ye nkomo baako na afe yetimi adi bra Innocent boko de
Adoma hoden ho.
Ye da nyame ase. O wan ye fe ne pa o.
Me da asebusua ho.
Na no bi ka che me say, you bre oba ka che no. The one or styling no ne ya na me fe very simple but classy. Na me Innocent na ba be di ne ho agro no. Innocent but no innocent. Na me so innocent. Allow.
Extremely innocent.
What you say? Or the extremely class aka ho. We can not say ja ye be share bia na ja ye ramu a na be si.
So far so good. I think issues are not me this one Ghana city further saying, and I think the video now on social media who say trend and because disinformation and there was so I think that clarify most of the issues even other media houses were even playing as a forum. So I think that is good. That is what we do. Always, just try to explain these key things. I'm for better I say because politics and very often I'm for who is a uncrophobia, but yes, and it's can be, but as simple as for us. So I think that is what we try to do. Sabaya will be a bit to me any access to information. Sabaya will make key choices and political decisions. Be informal. Going to mean convince will be as a political party and I say but we need proper information. Now one as a reasonable human being who analyze I think they bet me to most of the emotions in a way. So I think they're so far so good. They're at that table, so this kind of for back and forth and unnecessary strike as a forum, but we are still on it.
All right, the first 5 minutes me person I can't send me and sabi boom and mammy. Number one, I be a back and for Atta the so property may ye and wefrim. But honorable Kwajo upon Chroma say NPP are ready say Womobema NDC are buying a foot watches or match from Quine, send ye boom mine and more mine a successful. Quaduamu ye dear and Shadanya de Bebu mine Ghana and see they should make themselves available, said a NPP. A bachelor or more quiet fast while you boom mine. They are ready and they are available to teach them how to govern and be successful. Inti enoye honorable Kwajo upon Chroma deja or they abeshim no yera kwame pianim e kan sem bi e wo Jubilee House and I think say very important now or ka say a teacher for Akufo-Addo promise wo 10,000 housing units was a blog kura wanto to obesere president Mahama says so say wo ye resetting there and ye on kai sa asem no so betimi aye bibia fa ho a na I think say no there was a program e Jubilee House akwame pianim o ye obi a wanyi a NPP modi mu akotene corruption e de keka ho de wakasetia wono so kwakire na adwen send your corruption ekoso wo Ghana ne said ye yanhwe yi a ebetimi amakuru ya bo or chile na dwen e wo kwan ya obetu president Mahama for say obetimi tu ho anamo till the first 5 minutes ebi ansem ni bi wo kra ekoso wo krom and social media ye fa analyze ye wi na afa yakọ next strike no eso.
Okay, I think that we catch say leadership and the governance in this no get it cheaper and cheaper on daily basis, and we've gotten to a point that there are some people or more behavior on the political stage, and until people don't take politics leadership serious anymore. Because very often the very people you expect much from them, no one omokasa what to one Obamabu. And this gentleman, over his life has been on radio, on TV, Kasa, as we are seeing and as a phone now on the team, but Onya Kenya and Akufo-Addo, that privilege was handed over to him. This is a gentleman who could not even manage government information, basic thing information. He could not even manage it because open a buying back within the media or get it so dirty and milkier in the history of this country. The Akufo-Addo government, and this guy was in charge of managing government information. So on one Kasa portfolio, he was a failure. He was a change being as a foreign buyer. So clearly, give you the signals of what the kind of person he is. At some point in time, who now was a YouTube channel now or a podcast as a minister of state in the dying days of the year going into the election. That was what he was doing. So, and I'm like, as I walk sometimes it's very easy, very cheap, just to make those sweeping comments in a statement. But the reality, dawn on you. And he had that opportunity. Yes, Oyagana knew Kwenya to teach Mahama and NDC how to govern and so forth. The question is, before you set yourself to teach somebody, the question is, when you had, it's not as if you've not had opportunity to be in power. What I say, if Odikeka say, and I say any of the opposition parties now win an opportunity to taste power before I say, or Mahama how to govern, I'll pay attention and listen to what they have. But these are guys, these jokers recently were booted out of power because of historic incompetence and recklessness when it comes to governance, leadership. And the Akufo-Addo regime, we all saw what happened in this country. And the era now abaye a tainted way. I leave an indelible ink on the conscience of Ghanaians. Abaye a nightmare. Ghana don't even want to remember what happened in the last 8 years. And your friends saying within the information space, journalists in this country, how many were hounded? How many were attacked? Journalists were chased out of this country. At the time, journalists were assaulted. Some were kept in prison in as a form back and forth because they were doing their job, criticizing government and bringing the critical issues to bear. This guy was a minister of state. What's in the voice?
Yeah, baby.
So, Anamakacho said, answer now you set out to speak, you need to make sure that you have credibility. But you are somebody people will take serious. You matana on my way, so and in the last 8 years, if there is any government I able to deem useless in this country, in the history of this country, it's the Akufo-Addo government, and he was part of it. The blueprint is there, and we can just go through, if nothing at all, look at the economy of this country, the way and manner. Even the city, they could not manage it. City, we got to a point where prices of everything was over the bar, and I know can who been a Ghana for dear before now home tia koto abati Akufo-Addo the history of this country a billion that. And that government wasn't just about mismanaging competence and as a for Krono and Kasa, family and friends, state capture and as a forum, Payana use state entities, yes, some special purpose vehicle just to ensure that money will go into the pockets of the cronies and friends of government. Kwajo upon Kroma at the time, where was he? You understand? These are shameless bunch of individuals who always take the stage because politics has become cheap because credibility doesn't matter in our politics anymore. You can just say anything and get away because these are guys and can almost said them because of what they have done to the people of this country. Because Ghanaians had hope, high confidence in the Akufo-Addo government bringing all these people on board and as a forum because it was somebody, several other people who have been within the space. Coming on board, people felt so, Akufo-Addo air plug from intellectual kind of way, or more just to bring some intellectualism to bear. But not the day, it turned out to be a dear young who be there in the history of this country. Recklessness upon recklessness, incompetence upon incompetence, mismanagement, your friends are corruption. Just and out of that, they are two about just to your friends play your cards well, just to win the goodwill on the side of the people. Now, I'm for taking you serious. You are out there talking nonsense because if there is anybody to be taught how to govern, I think that they should sit back and learn what is going on because John Mahama Baye, yes, a very young koye, but clearly you could see few signs there. The dollar is stable. Petrol now man for the ton 17 city despite taxes and as for about muye de and Rameko. Your first filling station we check away 11.59 something.
Maybe I'm at 10.99.
Exactly. So
10.99.
People were buying your first petrol at 17 and as for I'm told that cement price about for my from 140 and then minimum ton say 92 say 82 thereabout. These are the kind of relief a Ghana for and this is governance. I am not saying say it's the best, but for where we are. And if we do any comparative analysis, there is no way with the last 6 months way, what has transpired, no, compared to what happened in the last 8 years.
Yeah.
So I think that these guys should just shut up. Usually they don't know how to keep quiet. You understand? And I think that most of them are turning out to be attention-seeking freak. When they lose power, now quite an China. I'm for until one can. So very often, as all about can be been a month so. But when they were in power, they were all quiet. You understand?
Sure.
Because there was a time when people needed Kojo Ponkroma with his media joy, whatever experience, you know, just to rise against the tide and their course within the space. Government information bars was sinking, and this is a journalist. At the end of the day, they couldn't save it. You couldn't even save your outfit to the sense that Akufo-Addo government got drowned in the kind of way and someone lost the information war because it got to a point that people were not even ready to go on TV and go on radio to defend the party because there was absolutely nothing to defend. It was utter nonsense that was being bandied around all over. So I think that these guys should just shut up. Watch what is happening. They are Ghanaians. It's democracy. Mahama Mamone and yeah, DBR right. So as a citizen, you know, you can bring the government attention. That is what you can do. But to say the Ghana for Monsieur MPP, if MPP as a political party in the last 8 years had anything to offer to the people of this country, a chrono, recklessness, incompetence, and the economy, and unfortunately enough, look at where the dollar is getting a bit stable. Petrol prices in as a form, and ya would to anywhere chrono a course who chroma and yard because I'm a catcher say, wound to me as a person, Sika that was invested in him as an individual, as to change Sika called Ashanti region. Because I'm still searching, that there is no single project in Ashanti region that was started and Akufo-Addo was completed. The cost, you know, anywhere close to about 55 or 60 million dollars. But this guy, 8 million, 45 million plus extra 10 million. Yeah, the forest man, Sika Onya, quantifier over millions of dollars. But there is no single project in the Florida of the MPP at the Ashanti region where they get their vote. I won't say project way say that other people are benefiting. There is none. It tells you the kind of government or mobile. You understand? Yeah. It was an avenue they created to satisfy their insatiable greed. Just to extend good wishes to their cronies, allies. Akufo-Addo by Nabusia for and Nam for them. You see the way they enjoyed. You for them. When that thing was going on, nobody spoke. And the matter says second for Atta Busia for bold enough to issue. When the nonsense was going around, when the guy was foolishly borrowing, when the guy was using his personal way just to offer advice to finance ministry borrowing and na family no the nonsense that was being thrown around, you know, the family didn't see the need to intervene. Ghana for bread. Even MPP ministers and partner MP sorry say no yankasa na party ni afono yen ade a kanofurata ye no the family people na mwanya kokodro you see and America no there is no shame in the society where we live. When the gentleman was foolishly out there dissipating the resources of this country, you know, yanting the family member because they were enjoying traveling first class and as for Koban and as for them. When these people were foolishly using our money to go and dig a hole in the name of cathedral, where were they? You understand? Is that the kind of good governance Kojo Ponkroma is talking about? I think that these guys are a bunch of shameless people. Nobody on his right senses will take them serious. They should just shut up and watch what is happening. And Americano, they can either transform themselves into a competent opposition party, or they can be what they are today, a very useless one, very incompetent even in opposition. And we've gotten to a point, I think that Ghana for are coming to understand politics to a extent. So you see, some of these cheap politics and this kind of street propaganda don't win any value. They don't have any currency. If you want to convince the average young person out there, say, dwell on the issues, the critical issues, because politics and what then the comparative analysis will come. I just said the last 8 years of Akufo-Addo, the indelible scar I leave on the conscience of our democracy. Ghana for freedom, free that. Yeah. So an agent of that particular government, any right to come and educate anybody on governance. When Ukraine dollar and as for now, they were telling us nonsense. Say Ukraine-Russia war, now Ukraine-Russia war, you see, these are a bunch of shameless guys, and America say you're cheaping politics, and it's the reason why people don't take politicians serious anymore.
Yeah.
And Ghana Nibia who politician not going to be a con man, because that is how we've created. we've made it in such a way, say, we have power now. Whoever you want to satisfy, be whether I agree with the party team and agree in the team, we draw all of them because bazana be diako. I know that they know there is no bit of intellectualism, idiocy are taking over the political space, even at the hub of governance and leadership and so forth. So it liberates some of these fools to come into the politics. They do the worst that they can. Just imagine a fool who has been given a free ride in power. Because our power will be a bit. So I think that Ghanaians are really getting serious. You see, let us do intellectual discourse. Now you follow the issue and I make you know what to talk about and criticize government, because these are some of the things I buy just to shape in the whole political landscape, you know, for the benefit of not even those in power, but for the average and the ordinary Ghanaian. It is not about my better opposition. There can be a negative. Nanka Petro both me to from Nakwabrand is a demonstration. No more dama. When it was 17, yes, demonstration, because there will be goodwill. Abraham 17. Why didn't you tell people to demonstrate? You understand? Yeah. So, and America said these people are really advertising who they really are. And your friends are pretending to be intellectuals, but in reality, they are not. That was why the last time I told you, sir, we prioritize certificate. When I'm a certificate, say, what did you agree in the party? Because you can't be an intellectual. Very often, you don't need to go to your house. Yeah. Work of our certificate about what the hell be or not? People should know. This guy. You understand? But this all courses are with certificate. That's what we do. That means what I said. I think empty. We must begin to demonstrate to people. Say we are really intellectuals and but empty. That can be assessed in the way and manner we think, we speak. Say man for confidence. Inspire man for. No. Because in the last 6 years, I am very fresh on the minds of Ghanaians. Why will any person in the Akufo-Addo government and the near Ghana for corruption? I will now Kwabranye to be Kukudu no better radio say they should come on school. Now I'm a journalist and sometimes they create a free room for some of this nonsense to thrive. Now besides say in the last 8 years, information ministry were you able to manage it? You understand? The warfare, the information warfare and the Akufo-Addo government, and the government got drawn because you could not defend the kind of Neman Amanfo kind of social media. Yeah. It got to a point that the Akufo-Addo government was out. People were not even out there defending the government, but he was the information minister. So for him, he's an article of incompetent. But because fortunately they had media platform, then as a they were able to convince people say more credibility. But they came to government and exposed themselves. So for me, these guys should be disregarded. They are all attention-seeking freak. They are fading into obscurity. They are fading into irrelevance. And sometimes, in order just to your friends are kicking people to know that is when they begin to make some of these foolish statements because in some now cannot any reasonable way be when the track record of the party, even your own people admit to say is the worst version of the MPP that we've ever had in this country. I told you, sir, when you sit down and do the NDC MPP comparison, I don't even fall for them because the Kufuor version of the MPP isn't what Akufo-Addo brought. Akwasa me last time I catch us akwasa war Benz na wo de war your fence aka na omo de fa nipa na kase no 207 yeah no be behind so de kofa asorofo whenever I was no de ko wiam ponche de number bi the MPP as a political party was hijacked by these criminals and omo de nsem omo ye so the actual Kufuor MPP na the MPP you understand these are a bunch of criminals who hijack the political entity called the MPP and use it for their criminal activities. And all of them are part of it, you understand? Because they were benefiting. Because if not, why will anybody on his right senses, after seeing all that has happened in this country, will be able to be bold enough and come to the media space and say, oh, Momra, you want to how to govern. I think, you see, they do this because they don't respect the people of this country. And maybe they are still living in the past. Maybe some of the guys in the MPP they don't realize where Ghana is at the moment. Now. You see, they still think, say, we are in the 2000s where those cheap propaganda don't fly. But then I'm telling you, say, Obi a said we own school demu dakrano. What a children or a lecture on politics are we show. Sure. Do you know why? Because there is a free flow of information within the space. Now, so for whatever you believe it or not, there are a lot of tons of information going out there. People are reading, people are getting a bit enlightened. You understand? first, you know, and I yes, I emotions, me asantini me, I wanna need me a way kind of politics, and that's animal go off. People are beginning to follow issues based on the cons and the pros in it. How I stand to benefit as a Ghanaian, and a larger governance sequence, you know, how is it going to impact on the future? Me as a young person, look at the level of desperation that Ghanaians went through in this country. And then I hear documentary we are Ghana for young people call Russia say omo kwa kontokwa ebinuma ba omo nan ba ko obi sin nyina hye na nu nyina artificial and as for course okotia bomb so just say it's so messy. Because of the desperation that was chasing people out of this country. And people were making millions. People were pocketing millions. This gentleman knew Chrono Akoso under the MPP. And today, suddenly, no, saying, yes, sir, these guys are shameless. And within 6 months, will you be bold enough to be doing some of these things? So I think that you see, politics in a cheap, you know. But in any serious country, you know, you will not have some of these characters running around the media space trying to criticize Obi, because the moral conviction and the moral justification for those things are not there. When you have messed up, mess now we're creating, you know, we are not even done. Your friends saying clean it up. Yes, can't want some kind of and then you are out there talking nonsense. But in your politics, they're cheaper. Why would people even give ears to some of these things?
All right, and come on, what do I say for the whole week, you know? And come as I say, you'll be any abra ye die, necessary one more aqua strike, and nipa a wunyasem ketua. And I know na make a madam for busy my camera, Yamash, and I'm say, maybe what down for you a ye juma ever mochery. Now make or say, no be a juma much and I found out for them say, now the ye juma. Now information I know them mammy and not ahomete. Say a nipa a wuno. Just say, one more general months, yes, them, dear, ya womu cry. Obi wo ho no ma ne de no ka hye da nye ade bia ye serious bia sa na so ye de be ko ne san se nurses no was striker even first aid kura be ye de no nipa ne prea no wa famawu there was a video anope na me kan wase ma me hu wo Facebook na lady no asumwa se ne ofa yare ye de ne ko hospital nurse ni no ehwe ne ofa na yire nanim ka che ne se omo was strike no wo ho em say that time no omo fa krado nkotu mu but o ka che ne se omo was strike em omo san ye se omo tam papa na ko private hospital omo andru na owuye na lady ni ye video wo Facebook o ka se nurse ni no wada na se say or share the wofa nanim ka che se omo was strike na ne fofa no akwa kowu enkwa de ye ba akope enti ye ka nkwa ho asem ene owu asem a ye de ani bre ene passion ene eka demands na ye nuanem nurses for na ye no agya me ye sure say Ivan ye wanim sem but ye me mbobo so say be ye agya Ghana fo be hu de ye kan hu asem wo masem amoka mo pse amopa uniform allowance wo amopa tools allowance tools no minimara se mpania ne niema omode surgery ne mpane niema ekeka ho no eno ne tools no omope no so amoso wa personal tools bia because the minimum say nurses there and as a hospital esiwa e ya ban adwum asede so making sure say equipment and as logistics egum nurse ni no unim de na ori koye adwuma enti gloves kura wo de be hye wonsa no e ya ban asede say wo so toma wo enti sa allowance no mo pede akoma katua ho no well I don't know say aban be jai sa ne ma ne to no mu makwa akoto de a almost sample additional duty allowance almost per call in allowance almost per commuted overtime allowance almost per permanent posting allowance temporary posting allowance almost per funeral grants in fact funeral grants no crowd here enra yes perpetual says are buying to meet here no yes 600 million Ghana cedis otua e bi on be consider funeral grants ni nyina ye say obudi hye bi we was aban tua eba osika enti minimara how they are going to calculate it is it as and when I would this year na wu and every month bia na the sika na ka ho amount what they try say would this year be wu ana what I don't know but wo ho and a full allowance but allowances now maybe boss no ebi wo ho no executive ne pe na be benefit nurses no kra na makọ strike and then no some of them will not even benefit so full nya de obi nurse ni a wakọ strike be nya bi perpetual na executive no high for no money benya and almost per 13th month allowance almost per on call facilitation allowance almost per non basic allowance and almost per height allowance height allowance ni say almost say hospitals ni bu ono ma ya bansura to aso 1 2 3 enti bi ho omo froko first floor second floor to the more na all floor ne all soro no heights omo pa allowance and omo pe disability guard allowance te se bia obi aba hospital na se bia nani afira ana ebia oti wheelchair mu a we se nurse ni ne piano ana nani afira nurse ni be so ne nsa no na kwetena ha saa niema na wo mo yema disabled people no wo mo pe ho allowance so eno ne nkomo a eda table so a na ka 2024 1st July and Akufo-Addo aban assign ye in fact all kind document now or say and it shall be implemented from 1st July 2024 shall na say woni nyina chi wa implement it nti afa na nurse fo na ni abra omo say omo ju omo allowance nti innocent asema da prono no.
Yeah, I think the legendary KSM.
Hey, and your uncle, senior. Yes, salute too.
He's a great man, always, you know. Contribution to whatever that is happening. I think he's amazing. Yes, yeah, I think this nurses demonstration strike thing is very pathetic. Because some of the entities no more render essential services. Nurses, doctors, police officers, military, those kind of way, you know, because services are such that whenever you revoke your services, you put human life at risk. So that's and the money your friend is saying very way. Anti-constitution, you know, ne emrai kroma labor law no outline processes ne na for because obi peeved about the working condition, salary na for there or nipa, you cannot stop people from expressing dissatisfaction about the conditions of service. And as near my goal, no, there are a whole lot because I'm telling you, sir, being at the hospital, the risk involved in some of the things that you do. I am a sir, innocent or a nurse. Yes.
So when you are innocent or a nurse, and well, Mosa is a funeral grant to Bejibio. Oh, and I have a height allowance.
So yeah, I think that is very pathetic. Sometimes I know a medical doctor now or performing procedure on somebody. And and I think that there was a gush of blood, a puba, and a good name. Unfortunately, the person was HIV positive.
Jesus
so what
Christ.
It means is
automatically.
I'm saying all this just for people to appreciate the depth of issues now. And now I've always been advocating, say, you see, the emolument structure in this country, you know, are very pathetic. But the same person, oh, but now, you first near mana nurses a demand some of the conditions near mana woman, some are absolutely nonsense. Absolutely nonsense. It doesn't make sense. And me, I don't blame nurses, I blame the leadership. Because you see, nursing leadership over the years has been very, very, very pathetic. It's the reason why most of the young guys and girls coming in, you know, will be a film. So nursing your now a diabetic, now call anesthetic, or be caught no acquire way. Everybody's moving away from the space because leadership over the years, you know, I'm for now, I'm betting on they don't even think about the welfare. I remember there was a time they were paying nurses student allowance. Yes, my for nurses nurses for near. So this is the leadership. They don't fight for their own. So over the years, you know, nursing leadership has been very pathetic. Very, very, and nurses know. Even go to the various ward, your friend is a metro for no more honor. They don't even care about their own nurses. They always, you know, advocating for Nema. You can go to a hospital and say, okay, what is now more honor? Yeah, you have more allowance. You bet me my nurse need 100 Ghana cedis. Me my doctor need maybe 2,000 Ghana cedis. Look at the gap. But metro no will not see anything wrong with it. Yes, but nurse Opo we are spending much time at the bedside, do all the dirty jobs. It's the nurse. And there are facilities you go, there is no nurse. But the same facility, no, I'm not know we are near child doctor. Nurse is not in our money.
Yeah, money be need.
I will not blame them. It's the leadership that is there because they don't know all that they are interested in. I bet they don't care about the work. So over the years, I never way you know na bro gusua ma do na film. do one now because you see that there is no future because of bad leadership and so forth. And there are things that it's not even right to say, but I think that's very, very terrible. But yeah, with him. Said yes, no. I'm worried about the kind of politics in this country because so what is happening within the space now. We cannot be sitting with GMA today. Doctors now more the aba na ya kwa demonstration we are na ya teachers na ya kwa we are na ya nurses na ya kwa na ya way. There is no country that will survive doing that. So for me, I think that we need to look at our emolument structure aggressively. Now you say why they take a risk at the hospital? Who's a make a nurse for the show? But don't forget that police in here are deployed so on bank and so it's the same, it's at the same risk. Because at bank in I'm Robert Bar. He's the first person.
I'll target it.
So you wait me now young guys bullion vine and as for a quiet you come for what I say. So everybody is at risk. So as government, I think that what we need to do and they say Yabaki can't sign your money boom. Now you assess the risk level of all these individuals. Now you draw a comprehensive package. I cover some of these. In the absence of this, then some of these things are likely. Or we are marked somewhere. Doctors will come.
Teacher for
will come. And with the government, it a trade of nonsense. Always you are in banter. And Nippon Sunim say, and I'm saying there are more bargaining advantage because our draw services are you be in hot waters. And they will continue to do some of these things to you. So I think that one of the things that and their emolument structure because there are nurses a real degree. As for them, salary bring take 3,500, 4,500 as for them. What I say, and very pathetic. So for me, I think that we need to look at the basic salary structure. Now you making sure say you improve on. Then as for them, about demonstration strike and also. Now you improve on. Now you must say. Baby and the panel here, Jumabia, Obia is okay with your own yan and as a forum. And I think that's it. Yes, I mana. A better key away this bargaining chipper. Very often, some of these entities and hold the government to ransom. Or my Juma, oh my essay, my old draw my services and as a forum. Conditions of service, it will be here. Now I will tell you your conditions of service. Me here, but you see, sometimes the way you go about it. And there are roadmap. And this particular strike, and I think say to be very honest with you, because you see, this and is up. I
was striking. We are now Kwejuma.
Oh, maybe can't striking. Yeah, because of the same nursing leadership.
Okay.
Issue need very confusing. People don't understand. You be a free baby. Emotions.
Okay.
Sa package na ye kan sa your friends a package na ye kan was a collective way na agreement na omo make here no it's a paper under Akufo-Addo government omo te ase e na ye fe omo agree but components na ewom no people did not pay attention to Niema na ewom because at the time now we were going into elections Akufo-Addo government at the time no could not afford to be engaging nurses back and forth because once it was going to affect the government. At the time, okay. So, on the package in the bar say package in the they agree on virtually everything. They agreed on everything.
Okay.
And now, the government then who can say, you cannot blame Akufo-Addo government in this because they were going to implement it. Then the nurses, psychiatry nurses took the issue to court through another party. Said no. Agreement no more agree no. And ya dear say GRA in no our mother body no because then the bodies be braba no. And no one transit and no one can. And the one agreement no my be one transit into the issue no court. Issue no court and then the psychiatric nurses won. So back and forth issue no court set no pull it out to be area no. Now you January. Now you January we yo Akufo-Addo tukofie ama mahama aba ama yaba January. Budgets at the time already had been prepared. Government didn't just say so the reason why I'm blaming nursing leadership say involved in idea where Akufo-Addo implement the court no back and forth now election is over. And I'll be happy because the burden has been
burden
good. But you see, let's say governance is continuum. The mere fact that Akufo-Addo insane doesn't mean that John Mahama is insane. Fine. This is a government that is barely 6 months old. Yeah. there are structural former or a cost of baby government require for
and certain way you and for me
you can still press and engage the government with your concern, but to threaten and say that may cause strike when the procedure and the processes that are outlined won't follow. People have taken a very belligerent position. Say we are done and say yameba. And I've listened to a couple of interviews or granted, which you could see clearly intellectually she's very, very febrile. In some law can say obi mature mind will not be making such comments, and either she's motivated by politics or whatever, I don't know. Obia or concern what he has a woman your quiet first. But the way she's doing as if this is a government that has been in power for like 3 years and only engaging. This is a government that has been in power for barely 6 months. You cannot declare strike within 6 months when negotiations with the government hasn't gone on. And Sanya Mana Kosunina, Nona, Emma Manfo say, okay, Sanadia, Nemana Mubisano, young corner, young Koshim. You could be a crat and you could shame. Kwabrane say me ye adwuma wa abrosan so first floor meji 2 CD 50 pesos a day. Say third floor 20 centimeters meji 3 CDs a day. And me ye adwuma fifth floor na that's for no meji 5 CDs a day. Yeah. Who on his right senses as a government will agree to this pack of nonsense? Say see it here. Okay.
First floor.
And what here is meant budget salary at channel because of the floor. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. And I sympathize with Nes Maka salary and yeah, very bad. So this energy they could have confronted government not in salary. Catch on the basic salary now and we deserve better. Yes, don't put up this nonsense and yes, say make floor back make floor me no. People will not even take you serious. But Akufo-Addo government did not pay attention to those things because
election
but and the government now all try to reset through look at now they were saying anymore what be what I say and I was expecting nurses in 24 by catching up by say first now the we had nurse now the car if Rabontin by a free man and that thing has been taken away. I was expecting nursing leadership to be fighting for those things. Dr. Sidia has been put on hold. These are sensible things bizarre nipa we are serious. What I say and again almost a funeral grant.
Aye, funeral grant.
Does it make sense? And the amount of money involved is over 600 million.
600 million Ghana.
Funeral grounds in what sense? Like, funeral we no abanya djuma no obi nya bi nchen obi o and I make say the risk obi ade ho but ya say abanya agree to some of these and I'm telling you so every na teacher ni ya say almost we nya risk ugina akasa from anopako say anwumre no so you see a time will come we are going to open the floodgate obi abeba say funeral because what funeral ground amobia you have to
pay for a teacher.
Adia ba kwa yesa make sense in the woman 13th month no you see 13th month no there are companies omutia I was working for a company Christmas they will pay you double they do but you see this a policy you cannot introduce to a section of workers what I say you because 13th month you know say you widen to policy in here 13th month. So you cannot exclusively say Yemchi 13th month. It's going to create agitation. Doctors will come and ask for 13th month. And I make us you see when you have that collective bargaining chip not as an entity now who make it demands be reasonable. Say by some no can. Mami asem okay nyansa because any day. So be a nurse salary nya I'll be the first person to fight yes salary nya let us make sure say we pay nurses well. Because how can a degree nurse be working and be taking 4,000? I cried 4,000 times.
Yeah, for now rent to cry.
Exactly.
Rent to
So as a nursing leadership, these are some of the things you engage government with. Allowances and so they are good, but you see, very often when you are advocating for allowances, people don't take you serious. But when you want salary discussion, and I know there are roadmap and so forth, but you see, when that particular thing is very aggressive, you the government in your engagement because of the work you do. A salary structure to a certain extent can be improved on. But some of these demands and you see that the whole thing has become a subject of public ridicule. I'm for a kind of science so there now one now for a funeral. So when you do that, you bring yourself, people will expose you. Or may pick up some of the things and I will face no not yet. And again, one thing that people don't understand is GRNA a nurses entity organization a mother body association and na nurses for what people don't know ni say oko your friend is a health sector na so person we engage abanya the bargaining chip na ye dey ama entities no health sector na omotam omo dey ama GRN the mother body so on na legitimately no otimi kwa aban ho and bargaining certificate no no abanye bargaining but yeah very adeba kwa people don't know ni say sa entity we entity made up of those who work in the private sector. Every single nurse, whether you work for government or not, you are part of this organization. Okay. So we are nurse you, ma banyo, we nurse ma banyo. So there is a possibility to say, obi beti me ba GRN president abra onye aban adwuma ma ban. Ebi no trust hospital.
Okay. Okay. Onya ban adwuma. Oya adwuma private hospital ba on the GRA way. So sa ni party na di aban akwa negotiate on workers. We're dealing with government, so I buying workers. It's not about private. So the partner, oh dear, I don't know whether you get the picture. What can I say? Because I didn't remember young Klana at here for yes. I innocent here, nurse. It's in my man time to explain it better. It's the innocent. I'm here says see and say Ghana registered nurses one why body no are perpetual no and the dear anymore as the president. No, we are nurse or Ghana and Kwadia. You are part of this association, whether private or government. We are under this mother body. And no money, I'm bargaining power. It's here be crying out. Make us perpetual nyejuma ma by me baby or yejuma I'm not interested be not perpetual crano or yejuma ma me private hospital be cry me call
yes
me call private hospital every crano hono yejuma but because so I nurse we under this body ninti no why rise your benya position so akwaya bagania private hospital no omo nko strike. It is a by the aqua striker and yenasem.
Yes.
Because I think exactly. I think that okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
And say nipa a private nurse and some na am fighting for horn crown or a bin cano. So they can do whatever that they want. That is the
benefit
that is the bad aspect of it. So at the end of the day, no people will not take. So for instance, I'm not saying that it could be possible. Say, all the head nurses, leaders is from private hospitals, and these private hospital workers, and the people who are going to lead charge with government, engage government for those working in government sector. Does it make sense?
No,
you understand? And people will not even take it serious. You understand?
By expansion. Strike no crab private hospitals.
Yes. Exactly the point. I don't know about not private. So because you see our what capacity be able private hospital.
Yes. So you see how a coffers anima way in our but as who can be much wase.
Yeah.
Oh, what I say. Exactly. So for me, I think the roadmap on down and then labor commission the assembly court.
Yeah.
They are calling nurses to come back, but still, the woman they are sort of baby a Zoom call and so I think that the political undertones was our name and the money are very pathetic. For one eco hospital now, one they would I don't even want to go there because some of these things are very way. But the thing is that we are building a country. Every strike action be an premise on established rules of engagement. That is okay. And you see, Senka John Mahama Banway and last year our and a wabana say only implement here, then you have a case. But we are talking about a government that is 6 months older. Yet here your deputy minister of health.
I can't don't 1 man.
What I say? So give you say even government nucleus now here forming a crown, a binding yeah. So you give the government time to settle. And what settle we know? Opa we are saying kwasa sem nyina go paper so bra. Was settle we now wouldn't say the bargaining there your bargaining power na bekyerɛ or so pe funu na pe whatever na say ultimately a bargaining na or when that one there and let the government settle or settle down. I wouldn't have that back and front now. That is okay, but budget has already been written. The amount of money involved with is over 2 billion. I have the document.
Yeah, I say 4 billion.
Yes, I have
4 billion every month.
I have the document with me. And the governance in yes, chacha bina here to acquire na kwatamiska baby there. What I said, you need to go through. So for me, in as much as I sympathize with nurses, the challenges in as for mu go through in as for no. Quina leadership na faso no in this particular regard no. It's in bad faith. It's an ambush. And ya win him say, your friend is saying. I didn't know course no. Psychiatry nurses in Nancy said they are not part of this strike because the things there. And midwives, as I say at you, they have an association. Or most I listen to the president or say they are not in support. They want near man or muhiano. Namum kwanya or mafaso more yano.
Yeah.
It's not right. You understand? So for me, I think that strike they will be our home but a government that is 6 months old, that is my word, 6 months old. I will for me our negotiation, was started with a government. Why is it a power? No, the government will need time to study the documents and see how the economic situation and conditions, everything support to those things. Yeah. But if you don't do these things, now what may cost strike because you think that you can force. No, it can't happen. That. So that is why I am at this whole thing. Exercise in bad faith, and I think that I'm so disappointed in the woman in charge. Yeah, maybe we know. I think that we need to pay particular attention to your emolument structure. You see, because of that happen on the political space.
Yeah.
Because my classmates, me a doctor, me a surgery, I can see or hospital, but some is 12,000 Ghana cedis. I've seen my classmates be at a ponkosu be or did the party executive or China as any CEO. Allowance are in a month, no such me as a medical doctor. Me way. Yes, those things are there, but you see, Ghana becoming very overbearing. Oko baby SC, but I had a yabro so. And ama obia fin any unso uno obia kasa. Compare allowances are leaders ninya. Oko parliamenta. Sika and nama manfon sassen the edugu bag him like. You see, so people know that there is money. So if I'm a nurse and I'm risking my life, I also deserve that pound of flesh. But if we are able to restructure the emolument structure in such a way, say, baby obia no, give you what you want.
Yeah.
Oko you can be a nurse here. Nanim mere be or mayor. Oko we no be a doctor. I will US. Nanim mere be or your friend saying senator. Because as a doctor working in a facility in America, the money I get, is almost the same as even far larger. There is this Ghanaian plastic surgeon or US. The guy is a billionaire. The guy is a billionaire because he's a doctor. You understand? So such a person, a senator or not, so that is what we need to do, just to ensure that people in this service, young training and liberty, and also now poverty now. We teacher near say what they
teacher need a crowd bobo.
Na police for crowd there
police for there na crowd.
On kwani man single room na the fridge ni na name
prison officer crowd there bobo na fire there.
As a prison officer they omo that tell me.
Omo can ho prison na fire.
The difference between prison officer and a prisoner I war they are all living in prison. So yeah, I think we need to look at in as much as the ekosunu nyina no in a broader stakeholder way. Let us look at the bigger picture. Na ye hu how e fa so a your salary structure ni yesebe ya obia anibeso de oye. But I think say yes I be but be nurses for nam na there. Some of the demands na we making are absolute rubbish. It's nonsense and no government on his right senses will agree. Obi be catch them say oh na say abandada na jitum. Abandada na jitum because we are going to an election the other we obeja to mama. But in this real sense here, you will say the state of affairs here, petrol and so forth. We can't do that, you understand? But we should try to know who's the car, allowances and so forth, cost of parliament. Yes, people will be peeved. So we need to do the politics where Sabaya, because Obia who here, nurses who here, because nurses in you can survive. Kakra your withdraw service, you see what is happening. And now, Abasia won't feel it. Now we young Kawana Junior Dokwana will be another who say yes. So you see, enti yele na ye make sure say baby obia wo bia no ye betua ne kai is me classmate amedo mo wie legon about 70% of nyina ko UK adin tino obeko because salary ni nya wa ha okoha anya hwe ne ma beko yama no some are in America nursing training can be classmate am be 50% they are in the UK now. Why? Because the structure system here is very terrible and recognizable and give nothing. No answer when the move flat is ana one way out acquire we now or life where no I don't know. You understand? Government must pay particular attention to workers. Police for more wins because it is bad.
Police need red no any green no difference one. Yeah. But I green can you question that be a red? No, me say Upesika catch say Mosga na we by force say ready abra me so many tuatua we me who say agree.
Yes,
so you see the frustration out there.
Yes, the frustration. So it's not a take it to poverty. So government must pay particular attention to some of these things, not making sure say you improve salary. Because I say okoye politics all of a sudden now other VAT other way okwa ne classmate who oh you see kind of moody. Ebi akwa na nya ban sika o. So, and I'm because the politics in a comparative way, now people are getting exposed to some of these things. First, you know, who MPNO officer a special person, and people have come to know. So, some of the people standing on the political side, some are even a wood and kwan.
That's all. Becca said, "We know who's one Gary."
What I say. So that veneration, respect, and on is gone. So it's about salary. If you are taking this, I should take this. You understand? So I think see a structure, a monument structure, and some of these things will not come up. And government should make sure say the risk allowance now for no must be universal across board. Now you fan 20 fan salary no. Now you take away that power from people coming to meet government. We yane we no negotiate we are. Now we know hey na you be that by. What I say, and as a nurses and also bisa for BBA, they should ask for something important like this waiver on cars and then as a form. What I say, the near who here and the people say, are there we and several other essentials. Now, could be a funeral ground, could be a science allowance. It's absolutely none. Oh,
all right, Rolly, so. I some more.
And check for near phone, mention innocent.
And also press conference in me follow ye. Na samia ukusu hwe. Na me ni nyina agina live no so.
Every Ghanaian
obi ahwe. Ba number so hu so no wo hwe.
Denti a e wo so wo hwe de say na djuma na me bo hu da we. Na poni a samia uku gari ni mako ne the board of NLA edi ya omodane adwumaku a eye oman dia de ma ankorankore enya hu sika twitwiri die in excess of 3 billion a year. In excess. I've been very conservative with the sika na make am because 10 million no times so
7 days no dey na say
72 weeks in a year is 3,640 million and coins. A star and can over Kenya.
Ye be one city crack so bedroom so.
Me pese Yamea Duma, media baby, the press conference.
Okay.
Yes, sir, that they are innocent and command. I say. My way no crane can
pa
but there was here now assembia it can be no I was say a year a dear a beboa ma mine no etumpo oh unless for the omoya ejani ma me saso bi di kai pa ehu hia pa che bibia ye nipa nkwa Nipankwan, nurse bia juma oye no.
Yeah.
Enye sebi galamse ni wokotu. Ene enye breacher juma no wokoye. Enye sebi carpenter juma no wakase o de dadwe ko bobo table mu na ma mo dadwe mu a table no. Ahodi na enya but nipa nye den emu. Juma omu ye nurse, fo juma omu ye pa say innocent hey. Only me ya again say mo mo ya no ni pan kwape no mo bo ho ban e maybe a doctor for court na me a court strike na me di o mo court the Ghana doctor for nyina ko gina court because strike na no mo ko na nyansa ba ko kura ni we say no we imagine say me court but we trasia na me dwen ho a sabi eneme obi kan me ni tefa bia but me trasia na me dwen ho a I will say the partners no no an kasa sua nyansa ade anasifo ni ye nyansa ba ko kura nim eye jimia abo ho nta e na ewo mu tirimu a enu nti elidi o mo say o mo ko strike because doctors no me di o mo court gari ni mako ya ne oye MPP for lawyer ya national lottery si me who on an airport chamber. Or no, any big as lawyer for the doctors are almost striking. At that time, no, omu opposition. And the man me call court because me offer say John I work on the bed, work on the crate. And you omu koshia e wa Afrikiko. Wabra na me wo Afrikiko ansa na omo eba. Enti say John ti ho me so na me me call for me partners be bon komo. Ah na me di omu ko that time no Flagstaff House. Na President Mahama no na president. Enti me bobo me points eja meduma ba ko mienu bia me pese me de kone ye ma me na me partners net to ada me hu say don so oti honum na enkofo aba besra no Ghana medical doctor Ghana medical association for empany for besra no enti 2 days after me a friend me kuma say my sister okwa awo so me friend madam for doctor bi wo Konfonochi na omwa on facilitate na bed ho ayede the sister so no ma schedule no for CS enti bed ho ayede no no so no yankopon fa the currency oye sickle cell enti let us say akoba say e wo say me friend madam for doctor ni a wo ho ma ye nya bed ma no
okay.
Sabre na mu no doctors say e ko strike. And I lost my sister. Together with several other Ghanaians. I'm not singling out my sister because I think say we are not nearby. And several other Ghanaian souls were lost. And now, they say no. If I also lose money going to court, paying for a lawyer and whatever, I don't think a idea who be quiet. And I'm a call court. Now me call court. You imagine a box me. My first question is say, what interest do I have? Say Dr. Fosso Moko striker. Me say me do my back court. Now in Gary Nimaku's submission to the court, or say me a busybody. Me ni hweye. And I may no abaya be semechi. And me de Dr. Fosso court. The Jabanian striking the case out. Oh, I get that it. I want to catch a judge and say, on the front page of Daily Graphic that day I was in court. Now, I don't put a phone court strike ni munina no. Don't put any baby or no so or court strike from Kolebuno.
Yeah.
Or no, I could be a manafaniyam ama you're rushing into 37 military hospital. And I'm the page of newspaper and they say, Judge, and say, Judge Obao. I say, my Lord, every human being is a potential patient. I'm not saying every Ghanaian. Every human being, whether Ghanaian or resident Ghanaian or foreigner or whoever, is a potential patient. My Lord, my lady, you are a potential patient. The doctors on strike are all potential patients. The lawyer defending the doctors on strike is a potential patient. And myself, I'm a potential patient. I've lost my sister due to the striking doctors' action. Several souls have been lost due to their misbehavior. Because before a doctor is taken as a public servant, or swear oath of Hippocratic oath.
Yeah.
Oath no also any say ono na adwuma na o ye na essential service.
Yeah.
Enti obi o ye essential service provider bia so no. Emra na hye ne kete say because of the nature of your job ninti no. Eni kwan say about trimu da kra say o ko strike ama nipa abewu. Cheticha ni ko strike a sebi previous. Akwara na bebon, akwara wo bon na kire na dia obehu. Meboa. But nipa de olusu ne nkwa sebi enesa aban se de wo busa nyina mpo anyansa ba kokura nimu no so de nyina ma o na nkwa na ye lusu no be ne no wakofa na bankwam eto so o magini obuni nyansa mi mabu kotodwa pa o mo ba manu me ho sa me pa o mo because enkwase afo pa na me pa o mo no because they are potential patients like the patients who are losing their lives. Who bibi ni aban kan say aban mu nipa ben na wo say wo bibi ni kan wo so won tiase a ono no ohia wo services ayaye na monya yen ana wasa nya wo awo ho
nko e china nkwa
wo na se na wo yare a ehifa na wo beko because wo strike the private hospital now wo correction ko mususu ko striker they said the doctor ni call 37 military hospital no was strike o
yeah
it was call na 37 for say yes you was striker can ehifa no ko oh ni pa jimi a mon kan say say wa jimi e die pa na che ni pa nkwa e die na wo wiase we mu a e chan asombo e che ni pa nkwa like Innocent is saying me who the betu manim na list over market anya ya ba betre studio ha aban hwe nurse for eno kura yen koto se o aban timi nya sika etimi ni flu wiem sen etimi di yan nyoma hodo yan nyoma be gro medamase sa aban no ma che ne so ntesu kokoda mo te ne so ntesu kokko eti sa me ka trom so ma jimi a e no kura na me ka o ma jimi straight me pa mo tell because
no we for leadership no nurses for what for
no
is the
leadership of the nurses and midwife association
yes
so Innocent be a leader abetufo se kokun maame wo so what your leader na no na wo di kokun maame me no mi no ha na eji
among the organization, they strike a banner if we top never, they will all buy. So leadership,
because
there are some who are even at the hospital working.
I think one area.
So is the leader, is the leadership. Is the leadership.
Leadership, no matter what. And until now, the catcher was striking. My leadership, no any guasi. No young woman, Jimmy. Na Ghana for nya yen hu leadership ni Jimmy sir anya so mo ka se kwatwetwe so ma me so kokunu no wakoku no because wo ya wo ho eti no hu ye tema bi mu a ye bibia ye nwonran bibia ye nwonran tese nipa no a ode na adwene bedwene no wonwene ni so obi adwene ma no esi aboko strike e bi nko strike o no fa ase ba ko anope o frame aso fami ko adwuma etimi nka ba bi o ne yakotata akọ adwuma enene na nsa na me friend na buza ne say yes mo ko strike na den na e koso o si oni ma de kro ani to mo ko strike
bebre ni ma de kro nti o mo ko strike no
o se bi pen se oni ma de kro ani to mo ko strike
yeah so na just a leadership na nkasa
a problem leadership na a problem
the reason why I will take your argument in favor of say the Ghana for who leadership no poor leadership
yeah
because akwai se Ghana ha no pani kasa akwara nka bi
exactly
enti pani na akasa na enkwara ni bi achi na se nka akwara so hu nyansa nka beboa no because leader no make e wono owie ya wacha ticket what akotra bu
so no to Finland
okay kan kwasa
kan kwasa asem
jibu position ko ka
ha ha kwasa pani Dr. Jimmy for no ono ka tell me say me yare na say me the doctor for be court dia me ko wi nwura me nwura be say me yare abua sa no
okay tell
me we nipa we odaso your doctor yeah was like getting the license free in some odaso your doctor o say o mo cost strike na me ntia me ko wi nwura
no what
to wait Jimmy for we
that
is what he said. It's on record. You can Google it. It's something that came out of his mouth.
Oh, Charlie.
Say, me said so much cost striker. Me, I mean, call you
said then he was a general secretary. And
I know you're general secretary.
And now president and they.
Because of young people, you are a doctor. Jimmy Foster. I don't tell me to us that Omo cost strike in the say. Don't let your leaders make you fools.
Don't
let your leaders know. The leadership of the nursing and midwifery association.
But I won't say we are saying
behave because some you make don't say President Mahama they want to do no cry. No say me person me call Ghana hospital. Obetimi akobe be of his choice. It is say you assume you know amokun. Anya sensan ye bre. And sensan no ye nurse no maame nurse no nua ba nurse no wofa nurse no wadam
wan kasa
nurse no wan kasa
bi kwa woni bi
na ya ni wo dwene wo ho a eba boa wo no kura ne ka ya asame so entina me ka ni pay am
because no say mo say no wabu nkotodwe po ma chew
me pa mo tell because I felt say omo nwi omo ankasa bra bo ho kane abanya wo ni kun
6 months
Debi o wo dey fani sa aban ni di 4 aban ni di 4 dey fani sa aban ni di 4 etesi aban ya wo ni kun so ya so bra che no so ni fo die ni mu kura wo so wontie wa ipa cha wo ni aban no wan na ebre ese wo ma me yare a obekon wo papa yare obekon wo fa yare obekon wo ni wo se empo nya ba bi nkwa na wadanfo je wo do no ene o yare obetimi agu wo ankasa o yare obetimi agu nti wo gine wo ana wo gine aban ho wo ba bi anipa gine yakodu obi etimi ama ada wo politics mu say ko strike major Muhammad ni mu ase wo so se bi a wo pe boyfriend wa ko o pe girlfriend wa ko e bi adwuma nti untimi nko ahye wo so enti e say no when opportunity e ko strike se o ma me yare a wo besie no wo kwa kofa no mi aba ofie etinka mo mpanifo nim nyansan ene ka mo sumu tu mo fo se mpanifo yi ya hwe mo nim nyansa aban yi kura wo ba da ben ye ntwen aban ne se afra se obeya listo wo se no e chapa wa pan ene owura mi nta kan no ne ho kura e mobo
me say honorable nta kan no wa bre o oni deputy
na ho brasie pene kasa
I like the way our handle issue
exactly
and the way all ye no sebi usmi nyasin towo ne ho se o minister kra ye ni share wentie yen utie obi a pe owura to forcing osuma na the deputy ampimna akon kokon ya wo kon ye press conference wa chem sika ya mo kan
on be fa free
boma in excess of 2 billion obi be busa say na aban adan na 2 billion wunya dia na aban beto ye
eka
bi ni umi enu nyina nim say do mahama na say ya ofo na ben me ya wo sha say oni Ghana food dikon o se wonu amu krampo no wo the bet ya boni yem making sure say ye boabo sika no na eduru ra sika na ya boabo no ye nya biem afei wo ka say openi wuji aketwa say kura ka waketwa ho a no hu say ebi da ho ne ye den na ebi se wonu mu a na otu bia eben enti de wo hoi fane sana de ye toton no ebi a ya ma ubi pacho waka bone ye ho atamfo we are our own enemies and the department say no kran kan che ni mienti no obi a ma na ye politics we the MPs na wa bam MPP for so akose akire ai bonko and aban dia na wo MPP ni wa betina aban mu fie nwotwe senka ye nyansa semu a na nurse fo ni mo kan eno kurampo no ada na mo ma anye akatua fie nwotwe a mo bae condition of service nti na doctors corp strike o the nipa hudu ewu ye doctor ba ko kura no wo tema o doctor call strike ni ma mi wu Kumasi ma mi ko la yi ni ma
we nyina ni hwe
ni ma mi no wonu ye doctor won kra ha o tema ni ma mi no yare wo Kumasi a wo se ye de ne kwa konfanochi they do conference na doctors
no so oboko strike
omo friend no say on friend na dan for doctor ma na dan for doctor na omo friend strike ni nti no so to kwaya bankran afi omo rashi afrin kran ha oni na dan for no rashi afrin kran ha Kumasi akohwe ni maame yare omo du ye no omo kofa ni maame funu omo jimi na me ka no asikyere no jimi ni patimi jimi eku ono ani maame.
Oh,
eti condition of service no that you ebetimi apro enti wonte da sa aban timi twa back pay
o TRS
eti say na ukura ni aban ka say okay aban ye pese ye ti ase na emom no de so wo ti ase so be ye de a ene eduru da wo betua no back pay us
list well ye I say some of the things in the room no crowd to ye
what see you free na height allowance de
sa funeral nurse
funeral grant height allowance
13 months ye
akwaron friend say
70 go ha no aka ne
na no ye interview
perpetual
maame no
e be ma bi no
General Secretary, minimum.
Ah, no so be kasa bi I'm a journalist no kura bi sa na senti nipa wu kura bon fa was if sa na be ye dia your brother
your wo sa be man no
hey
your wo sa be man
oh it's politics so
abortion enye illegal e was say ko ya abortion
it's
when the nipa was what nipa mu but nipa on oni akoma oni abodo kire uni say we no nyina no on me ma aban afutu ba ko
yeah me ya kwa kedo fata issue no so
afutu abede ma aban ni say aban e wo mu say oba ye nche enyo ye diama ah wo toto nneoma se na nneoma be koye na asem bia no ye wone ka
yeah
na mra bi me ofa akwesi ageman e ya ade bi wo Kumasi City Council na sadia o ye no me di tu abanfo se wo fa akwesi ageman ko adwuma na painters e wo ke me ho nyina se e ko strike yanko me mpene na me mpene ana ofa akwesi ageman se na akwesi ageman of blessed memory be ma kwesi agima se won o say mu a mo be ko strike ni nyina mu nyina ha na emu fa kese na ko gyina left mu a mo so mo pese mo be ko strike no na mo be ko so aye adwuma kopim se ye be nya de mo pa ma mo no mo so mu nyina ha na nipa kakra bi nso ko gyina na o say okay mu a mo so mo be ko strike no efi na akuri ke me ha ya yimodi the chamudi afri buku mu no stand up and be counted
yeah
ye chamudi afri buku ni mu a baby a wo pe no koye wadwuma wo so be ye adwuma no ye ni sika ye de be ma one na mom sa wo koso ye adwuma na man ye bosumi ni enu miensa te se de aban se ye ma
2026 no
sabre no ye transi ne enu adi nkomo ne ye hu de se fata wo se ye de ma one ye de ama wo betna fa wo nua bra no me painting work no on kam ho ade a chen ya na nkofo na omo yeyi o madi no omo abasa omo be pa che na adwuma no be ye na eye influence say omo yes ana omo ti aban ne sunte su kokwa na aban no be sibi to dia grievances aban enton stanford nurse fo a omo don omo man
say akra make up
wo pese wo ye adwuma no wo wo pese wo ye adwuma as nurse no ko hospital ni entro wudin na yan fa list na mra ban wo wan ko register within 2 days no let us some person ya ba be ye adwuma bi ni ye tawdi mu ye tawdi free mu less mu a opa kwa Kazakhstan na we fi be fu adwuma because your deviant behavior will not allow for you to be a nurse in this world again. A man should pick the bull by its horn, because if persuasion has failed, force must be applied. Enough of the nonsense. Oh, that Subaino, it was here, Sia. And yes, Sebi, and from the who padia wunyantino, there be a Rebecca say, okay, and from a who crave here, then can you go on month from my jump and true. Or the book send a baby bit me a platform. I do baby have the motive from at me a former from your face. Platform was the sign running in a baby.
Now I am Yamina boy.
Motive from a send a baby no, if you were baby could bet me a prep in a coburem. And you run there one nurse if one you run free. If you imagine Yajuma, one more imagine Yajuma, one betting me by a Yajuma. And if a nurse if one betting me by a Yajuma. What friend on register? Obi a register wa hospital a wo mu a. No kwaje list na won say nurse for we e de omso mbe ba adwuma. We mu de omso mo ma adwuma. Mu a mo ma adwuma na fi na ekuro ya ba ye twamudi afri. Nurse for list mu. Ye twam ka biem na akofie na wo kom de wo. Unua ba ko wa ko school. Enfie say ni o pa adwuma ye kra wonya. 2 years ni ye fa nurse for. 2 years ni ekufo do aban. Wa fa nurse for. Obi ti fie pe adwuma ye enti sa list no ye twam udi free mu na se omo fie no ye kofo mu be hye wa na ayeren.
All right.
Hey, the best solution.
Okay.
Then so be mother be near the tears you call. I na ba fa we am you say. Aba fa we am you say. What I say say and now pa my police from kasa me omo strike. Then am rob say ke be rob. No mu dia na me say bi omo dey tro mo ho atwa duam. Dey ti na police for the omo sorry kasa ye strike. Ade na mudie bosa. Ade na mudie bosa. Masu always call for strike. Enti se bi nti munim se adwuma moye no eye nipa nkwa na mo bo ho bai. Ana wo ankasa ho nkwa na wo bo ho bai. Ade na nipa ade mo adwene nya adwuma sa. Ade na moye sa. Da bia nti ya kro mo defa mu. Ti mu hu nya sa kra ankasa o. We di o man for kra kanti ye de yi. Na je se ye be tia mu gumani mu ase asa na mo hu nya sa. Ade na moye sa.
Thank you. You know that? Yeah. Say abusuafo ne say mama seremu a omo de hye no ombeba munyini free interpol red list no mo yes enye e na amana na bi kura seke no Ofori Atta pa obetimi abaga na oba mo so bomra obeba oba no anka say o say any right o say o ye lawyer
anka say no see a solution
nti wa seke no Ofori Atta no ye pa yenye dede manemra oba ko kasa no right
na bi no o kan sa say me o yo bi onim nyansa obahu say ampa Ofori Atta ba na wa mie na no ankasa right but silence no even a bigger statement be help in the prosecution. So sometimes no ana me kasa na kasa boom adwen na etachire na ya na ketwa bi because oba na omo friend no say on kasa that alone no louder than even wakasa. What I said, I go win your mumu. What's a casa? Nasa was a one casa. Then court in a bachelor. All that they have to do is say, I see on casa, near the court. Then the court knows I was on casa. Yeah, on casa, then Yakasa was on casa and Timunya and Long Coffee. Oh, I'm a casa, home. Yeah, I think. What's the politics on the egg that is these characters, your Mokasa say, no, we are nursing doctor, not yet, you know who and say, we didn't need this kind of so far. And I can't open a shaman for before. No, so I think it's serious. Can Ofori Atta busia for saying? Yeah, I think that yes, Obia or Hokwine as Ghana need to say anything. But you see, and America say, answer I will do a nimbe kwakwaji dear nim no. You should always have your back against the wall. So people will not have questions to ask you. And to yes, I name it's good so Obia be fighting for the family member because a dean can Ofori Atta and I'm sure say Interpol criminal nipa na no more that listen no. A drug syndicate where you just a criminal sir. Omo wanted within the international community and omo on your that list so it's on record and they didn't can Ofori Atta na link back to a fear mpanimfo so definitely no you not take it kindly because a good man for any you understand so I think that it's okay so what is idea but you see my question maybe some who say enti sabi eniema hunu nana can Ofori Atta ye no krom ha say no na family no motiase and now mututu kwan ko China na Vietnam afi no mo aba no mo bete de ekoso when the nonsense was going on in this country no Ken Ofori Atta abusian for no mo Ghana na mo ko vacation na China so they didn't know they didn't read the papers they didn't know what was happening when the guy was foolishly borrowing you can't some China ontie when all used companies here to advise transactional advisors on one company paying friends when the gentleman was aggressively egu papa kwasi B0mbs and then as for enti family ni enhu nyansa anka say oya Ghana business wa fa Ghana for enti your family yesrew kane momo kwanya changes kwa na obaye at the supervisory rem na ye na kwasi B0mbs abie banka oye nipa adwuma yese hwan say do agongo abie adwuma our bank na ne problem nyina ne say or asem court until he cannot own a bank ya different in some egu ni bank Ofori Atta was the master planner behind some of these things when the guy was borrowing here and there corruption a Japan PDS deal ekoso recordings and eba ni di wom omo check commission share na as for family no more so you see and America say you could draw a point and there is no shame in society I think they should just shut up and allow things to drive you understand because all come back and forth for motion na family should have been the first person to kick in na omonka ana special prosecutor no so definitely no on the medical condition here complicated and call family na man there identity family na issue statement say say na constitute as man time who say nipa nwene when the thing was back and forth now special prosecutor wanted answers the family did not write to the special prosecutor they did not go there but now yet now to Interpol red alert so you know free so no I was say I messed that opportunity now send na koto so no that is when the family is getting the energy to say your friend say na Ghana for mu we no so mu ni family members sa kwase head cut na say ye okrom ha pensioner de ni sika ono a save ni sika o say o de akoto government share no aka no forata ebubu o mu sika no kama papa no oni abusuani wawu o shefom sa ye fa senche so hwan sa ye fa say hotel kase bi wa papa no so no so wawu omudo mu ni abusuanfo ye ka bi mo onye ye these are shameless cowards say sometimes I know make the politics na cheap and media meme hu sa statement na social media no na me free say be enkwasase me no bi atwura akoto social I didn't even know that nonsense will be coming from a family member because over the years no ye nim dia koso okroma ya answer na obetimi aka nsem bi say no de ekoso no esenka waka be pen because when Ghanaians were wailing no you cannot say that people were complaining that Kufuor no they were all NDC people no. Ghana for Messia suffer bi bank or say or koto government bond na chese ni sika nyina na de kokoya ade obobo siansa na ode didi enti oho na sa alert bi omutua some time ago bi o sanje ye no ebeto na account no ofre amanfo ode o mo kan say oh we de nyame adom abeto ma account mu ade tia na pokoduru bank kwakoyi a o mo san withdraw scan say by mistake enti obi a oye healthy ono a de ni sika agu ono by force why yarefo
pressure
and the family ebimu wu sa Gold Coast we na kind of way papa kwasi ndo ma de na o de buy do you know the number of people musika wo mu omo ebi no adana yarefo family no na mo wo hefa I think say sometimes you know there is no shame in obi aye niam hunu bia na ofa ne ho adi I am expecting say come back advises the special prosecutor say making sure say you don't witch hunt na mom emrane nhyehyeye ewo ho no ye ba na ye tu no fo obedi so na ye ne na kasa say obeba eda sei na oba ye be make sure say the esemo ye bia no mo be ye say am no ka
we are okay na just say wo ni nyansafo na ke kasa wo
exactly that is what every normal human being will do yes and these are people as en kaye turu fuma na yes anema no what I say say abrante ya kan say me say one na ye the masterpiece one puzzle now ye tutu ane ya hye no Kenoforata is the masterpiece in the larger corruption puzzle na ye try to ye first say unravel in this country gozi ameno ka say NIB any Yoko for I open a separate investigation about the criminal dealings in this country. So for him, no first and a special prosecutor and one channel. But I say no, I had double obviously a double salansa. Yoko a way. So I know today no the gentleman is going to have a right. So the early he comes and face whatever he's supposed to face and stop playing this I am sick card. I am sick, there be a country or yare there. Obi yare I won't win Casasi and I say. But the reality is say, when you be away bedridden, when you be away immobilized, I would have bed so aka say ontumi nto kwan according to sources ko ebirim kwa so mu hunu land not ye fence ba bi didi and the pictures were circulating on social media so wunyo bi a wo yare da house wuntumi nante wuntumi nya we yes we a finance minister so wo bo bra papa I will be more than happy enough to avail myself and answer you understand and that kind of art so yare abra no ya finance minister me say hu ni tie siso atimi say akwa na yare no na mo we ask me kotena TV say he should resign for the health sake. Okay.
If you did them,
yes, because who know to me so yare at that time, you know, I was worried say even decisions no making were not out of reasoning because the guy was sick. At that time, no family no who say, oh, yeah, buy or yare. So uncle China will be taking over. MPP as a political party, MPs in parliament, and I said, no, Ken, Abraba what the economy newborn and Yabrabo Papanti, so he's in China every year. A free doctor now work we go to no find saying there is this doctor or Kumasi
and the appear could be
no but could be or yet and the appear could be baba could be Kumasi omuko to my primary solution ye or I don't say I'm say a doctor or yeah or tire interviews oh me nidina me refi ye tu no ene or tire grant interview ye ko tu no ma ene otifie because okodi animu say ye ni Kenoforata floor or a lawyer mom oh okay no and the idea could be dying we Kumasi ankasa
Eugene
yes Eugene
you are your doctor
oh okay Eugene asem na America
Eugene Boache
ye tu no Say out if you are MP.
So common from.
Yes, because of that, we know mudi any muse kind of for that and sin change. Yes. Yes, only Andy we know. Yet we na kwatena fie. So this is a brabo kind of for that ababo no kroma say. And near my branch we are no kroma say no. Say nya emra na ye adwuma no mudi ko sikejeti anase makwala nka man ababu na kuno because of some decisions will take ya. It take a man for life away from them. This is the crimes even you can say it's alleged, but the consequences and the impact of these alleged crimes were visible, were very impactful. And the papa was indium. Obi oye ya fence adwuma wura na wadan ya kawura. I'm told say na kra na honya de wayare. This is a businessman or creative business there.
Over 3,000.
Yes, and there is no business that was assist or challenging or even more challenge or but yet a challenge your hands, you know, what as a company, that is how I run it. So you as an overseer, no, you have to re-engineer plan. And until we lead a Nyansa team, you engineer plan just to ensure somebody can navigate it through. Sabaya nipa benye jumaya. Ya dia timodin gugu sa nyuma we nyina guye. Emma majority of people kotena fie. And that time so obia enya kisu brana be you are you are out there talking nonsense witch hunting and or yare no yes na bra no yare na owu no na onfa finance minister na yemfa ntu amana se cathedral na yensesa yesika na was he not borrowing so I think the family should give us a break. Some of this nonsense, this emotional crusade, no, will not fly in the face of reasoning, in the face of logic. Because Ghana, they lived through the Kanaforata era. They saw what happened, they experienced it. Some lost their parents, some lost their uncle, some lost their wife, some lost their fortune. And the doings of this gentleman. Branabe, you are not come and answer. That is up to us, you understand? So I think that the special prosecutor must do whatever it takes. I'm happy to say the Attorney General has started processes just to ensure that the extradite him. It's going to be a bit complicated, but family no one yans assembia can and special prosecutor and so much command. They should write to Kenoforata. Say any special prosecutor and no. I Ghana for no. Open say me declare say baby who Kenoforata bia no mfana man ka be Ghana for mo abrochom kwakọ hwe the number. Because do na the sika ba kroma Kenoforata anti sika na kam. They are angry and peeved. Man for better than about Kruma say. That is how I'm a bravo number boy, you know. I'm a Ghana for you peeved and angry about the way they did their thing. So for me, I think that family needs to just shut up. And Merenes or Mokasano, I tell because Abrana near Mahunu Kosono, that was the time I said, Commodium Jim, no mutu more for Siano for Abrana, oh, take it those and Quasia decisions in a Ghana Coboy, you know. But I know my boy, baby, trying to pick the pieces together, Sabia bet me coming back. Then bringing your voice to the conversation. I think they should give us a break.
Well, it's all.
Once again, the chronic oh, say, when you first see great grandma, say, maybe two and three fine, teacher, man. Now, can we have to share the brass or Ghana? I'm a kind. I predicted today. Say, the bedroom baby. The reason why I was say, a buying a bebano, a benyesika, a dear to Ghana for two. Now you're the above mine home. So I said, can you be a woman be a toilet? Almost I say, from 2017 January now, no more year. Veteran, one of the Minister for Finance. Sabre, me talk about Parliament, sir. Kenoforata does not qualify to be a finance minister. The kind, the woman Shuamus and Semno, and you know, credit Sir Okoye University, and you know,
I want a fraud there.
Should the movie scam?
Sir Kenoforata. Or any better qualification as far as finance or whatever is concerned, economics is concerned, we need any better qualification there. Everything he provided to the panel was false. And Suhini Busa the question. And prior to Suhini the question, you know, now I think was it Suhini now that said Busa and said, does he have accounts in tax havens? Tax haven, baby, wo a wo mpese wo betwia to wo man mu no wo di usika kosie se na be ya obe avoid taxes mainly. 2 obi wo a owo sika bi a opese wo di dwane ana wo di sie ne manfo ana o man no ehon so utimi disika ko na oye obi a only the first criminal yenya no man we mu in this Fourth Republic obu aban Rollins aban tie Rollins aban obu Rollins aban faso Satan no fi Liberia abagana oni Johnson Sirleaf na no ye president
yeah maame bi
ewo Liberia no sa data bank no oni maame no ne bieye eti maame no had I think a higher percentage shares plus some other friends of his omo nyina no mo Liberia o call Liberia e dia no mo de frɛ Kenya maame dia on the front na odi dream ma dream no kodru bepe so say oni snake koto kese say opesi osisi adan e ma snake workers na te say de afrifa nya afrifa IK champion
yeah
aka Fauto Beji Golf yeah osisi estates de bebe wo Ghana ha ne subi mada senye saglema IK champion is still holding the record. Na saa time na no ye saa de no na empanifo bi kwati ku obi ne frɛ no People's Movement for Freedom and Justice PMFG na ye boy a champion achi yes anyo mani nyina enti saa de no na ono so ekofa say template we Rollins aban mo masnet mamisika na me fancy estates ahodo pi estate na
sika no so
dan wa asase no okobi asase no o se man so aba asase no nti sika $12 million obi an Google obotan
yeah
obotan
I read through
you're criminal. Look, say akableme ten na wo ten ni say wono wo tete krofo no no ya abefo KG na make KG na make kan nyina ke no Ofori na yeye and oni Alex Daddy na Ofori kropon akufo adomia no and oni omo yeye everything they did is criminal. Pot kohwe and now pa pot them a pot ne kohwe ade a ekoso wo them a pot because omo je pot adwuma ni free aban nsem GC net na aban wo percentage wo mu ana GC net de ye adwuma about 35%. They took all aban percentage no de adwuma ne ko ba bi e friend Unicom and then busobia wo them a pot Unicom enya adwuma me boamati Bomachi. Madam for Broni bi. Or a Brazilian.
Yeah, pay up in 2 minutes.
Anna or Dick Aduma Baye. Say, Obia or in your from an on babyano. I was say a man are buying who in advance.
Yeah.
Adia or ship free country, so the Abagana and your friend be advanced shipment information. Now, embedded in advanced shipment information or the tracking account. Oh, you bet. Tracking cargo no say na bia obi an your man nyira wo high seas oni ma bedru Ghana enyira enti ye the tracking account ye frɛ bibi cargo tracking note na ken Ofori Atta ne akwa bi ye frɛ ni Coleman o ma ko sign contract aye company bi ye frɛ ni CTN Ghana Limited ajeje importer sika di o mu wie ye o ma gu company no we nyina se ni tuo we kra me fan ko yo enka ho afen am dia no
afen ade no beko
eti eka ken Ofori Atta asemo a abusua no omo ho ye me fere se omo de omo anu betum na omo de omo anu tum incapacity as what se abusua ben a omo free hin omo ye hwanom a omo ye ni pata Ghana ni ben abusua ben papa ben abusua papa ben because this is abusua mu be ka tell you say ye ya beifo ma
yes
ya criticize ya ku for do kronfo to bottom ni balawo say wo di 11 atutu ye bottom wo ye fon so the phone and galamsey site. To galamsey where phone so ya koka enti omo kuro mu hine ne say yen ye ya beifo ma yen na wo hwe beifo ba na ka wo hwe onu na ni na hwe yen anim a won na say beifo ba wo de hwe na nim na hwe yen anim e ka no fura tanim hwe busua ni nyina hwe omanim na hwe yen a ye ka say hwe yen su anim na won na say beifo ba abusua we e na omo ye den sebi nkamu tu ne fo tete ni ye ma ne bobra pa
all right 30 seconds
and ata ye busua so sorry say ata yi no so ye nyana ni ajeja no
ni eja
from força
okay
what be finance minister wia sika ko bu busua no mu di sa na ku do papa be ye mampani just for 1 year 5 months hwe kro no obo ye ship kura potimi yira ship 1 year 5 months o bokro no
ba from say dia farmer so na
we are your son we are mama and na ku do atọ Japan nyina including hotel no oh de Yakobon eye se say oba aban mu nu asa akọji hotel na yeso onu social change na for o ma chalice ni na ye hotel keke o so asema ekoso no abusua ni ntwomu film na munya abusua papa bia nchanga na ni bia abusua ni the best we can describe you is a very intolerable family akwonfo abusua ya ma be wia ma regabi hwede gabi ayo man hwe kofi asante be di etu hwede na nkopo aye no hwede na yare aye no wo bibi ka mo kosere nyame na bo so tin na ma aye
medas
we am boyfo pa nyakopo be tua
thank you very much
Mr.